Thank you very much to everyone, Jess, Eric, and the whole team. It's been fantastic. And yeah, we came to this event last year as observers, Matt and I did, and we were blown away by what we saw. One thing that really captured my attention was the opening keynote experience was talking about the virtual production technology. Now, we'd been hearing about it, and of course, we've been talking about a lot of that today, but a year ago, it was still something of a true mystery. What were we talking about? What were we doing? And I sat down, and the whole production got together and said, hey, we're going to do an actual 20-minute scene live and in front of you. I said, oh, let me get my popcorn. This should be fun. Like, this is not an easy thing to do, bringing all of that technology together and then trying to do it live without a net. They were actually pulling the whole thing together, bringing in people from outside the building to work as part of the VAD. So they had a designer who was manipulating the scene inside Unreal from Tokyo. They had a shader who was working from Philadelphia, I believe. And all of it came together. There were literally only 3 people on the stage. There was the LD, the DP, and the actress. And that was all that was required. There were a few grips that came in, dropped a prop here or there as they moved from scene to scene, and they shot the whole thing, edited it, and played it back. And I thought, wow, this is an amazing group. Talked to them afterwards. They used a lot of our gear, and we were very impressed by all that, and had a good chance to get to meet them. And then over the last year, we've worked with them quite a bit. And as you may have seen earlier, if you were in on the GOAT code, they recently deployed pretty much the entire setup that you're looking at here today in that effort. And what was really kind of unique about that and gave me confidence after seeing them do what they did last year, Eric called up and said, hey, I need to talk to you about this project we're going to do. It's going to be pretty high profile. We're going to try and shoot, I believe it was 22 episodes over the course of a week or two. And I was like, vaya con Dios. We'll see how that works. They did it. And they did it pretty much the way we talked about just about 2 hours ago. Bringing all that technology together and really kind of relying on it, working the first time out of the box is one thing, but they were doing it across multiple environments, going from the LED volume there at Trilith, also back to the green screen space and using, pretty much the whole thing. So what I wanted to do today, and they asked us to kind of replicate that, would you mind helping us with this project? This year, of course, enthusiastically.
I said, yeah,
Yes,
let's do it.
Yeah, and it was like, of course. So what we've done is try to get as much of the same gear here, and we've turned it around. It's visible to everybody, and I won't spend a great deal of time, going through all of that, but I will kind of chat to who we are and kind of what some of the roles are that we as a company provide. We can talk about the gear. I am always happy to talk about the production tech. So grab me, take me aside here, grab a cocktail later. I think we can bring them back in here maybe. And then I'll talk about all the gear, but I'll just do a quick rundown of basically what we've got going on here. So just as a quick introduction, I am David Hoffman. I head up business development for the Americas, which covers basically the Western Hemisphere. I'm based out of our office here in Burbank, which is our main customer office. So if ever you want to come and see our gear in place, we have a small studio there. We also have a fully functional post-production and production facility. Come and take a tour. Have a lunch with us and kind of chill out. Or if you want us to come to you, we'll happily bring some stuff over and do demos and open houses. We try to make ourselves as available as possible. I cover, like I say, the Western Hemisphere, and the 2 big areas that I work in are specifically looking for how our brand is used and the impact that it has in both enterprise scale, which would be large studio spaces, or enterprises such as Disney, which may cross between ABC News all the way to parks and those kind of live event kind of things. But also really following on to the ethos of the company, and that is trying to present our product and our brands to niche environments or emerging environments, and really making our tools available to the creatives. And in a moment here, after Matt introduces himself, I'll show you basically the core quote coming from our founder, Grant Petty. So Matt, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dave. So my name is Matt Jefferson, and I'm responsible for developer and strategic relationships. You might say that's kind of a mouthful. What it really means is that we work from everyone with one person in his house or her house doing development to multinational trillion-dollar companies. And we love to work with people across that stack to make sure that they can take advantage of our tools, our software, and then work together to make sure great companies like AMD and Microsoft that are helping support Eric and Jess's production here today. And so we're really happy to do that. I want to give one last shout out before I turn it back over to Dave and say thanks to Kim and Nick. And Nick, 3 people are running this entire stack in here today. That's how easy it is. If you want to stretch your name, thank you for the clapping. And you can see if you turn back kind of towards the big monitor, you can see where all the stack is, and we can talk about that if we want. So thank you, guys.
And in the next studio, we're not running just one, we're running 2 studios. We aren't running them. That is, this production team is running them. So please, if you haven't seen the other studio, stop in there. It is essentially a mirror. They don't have the super bitchin' stipe grip there, jib there, but they do have some other cool stuff. So this is on our website. I like to talk about this because I was a customer of Blackmagic's for many years, running my own systems integration and production support tools for primarily the military. Pretty much a difficult community to get into, but they use this kind of technology, and I was able to bring this kind of high-tech tools to the community because of companies like Blackmagic. So I grew to develop an affinity for the brand, but then I got to meet the founder, and I knew that I wanted to work for that company. So Grant Petty founded the company. We're in our 22nd year. Officially, we started in 2000. In 2001, our primary product when we first came out was called the Decklink, and that's where I'm going to kind of hand off a little bit more to Matt here to talk about how that product, even to this day, is really the core of a lot of our business. Since then, we've grown into 14 product families with about 200 to 300 different individual products. That cover basically the entire spectrum of production. So you can see our cameras here. We have 2 different cameras from our Ursa camera line here on the jib, our studio camera line here on the 3 sticks, and then 3 other studio cameras next door. In the back, we're running our newest switcher. That's the ATEM line. That's our switcher line. That is the HD8 ISO. That technology is now finding its way into more than just one of our switchers. Now, every input is isolated and recorded on internal NVMe. As well as the line cut, and then what really makes it fantastic is it creates what's called a DRP file. That DRP file is the DaVinci Resolve project file. You can take that and drop that right into our free software, which is a suite of tools from nonlinear editing all the way through visual effects and delivery. And so when we just heard from the team here from Everything Everywhere, how they managed all of that work, this is actually doing that for you. So at the end of the day, Nick can take that drive out and put that into his workstation, and he can open up the Resolve file. And there he can go in and he can adjust. Everything's been ISO'd. He can make some adjustments to the cuts. He can add in more graphics, whatever he wants to do to further enhance the production. Better than that, though, all of the cameras are being ISO'd and recording on themselves with Blackmagic RAW, our own RAW codec and full resolution. That is an HD quality recording. He can now take the 4K capable camera RAW footage and drop that in, and with one pull down, say, translate all of the footage from the HD to now the RAW files with all the cuts, all the transitions, all the graphics, and now he can go in color grade and have a higher grade production. The last thing that's really fantastic about that switcher is it can also stream live. So can the cameras. I can hook up the cameras or the switcher to a cell phone with a 5G connection, and I can stream directly from those devices. And then finally in the stack there, we have a couple of our recorders, our HyperDecks, and some of our monitoring devices as well. So all of these come together, and you can see now a complete production system. This doesn't make a monolithic thing. Oh, it only works if you have all Blackmagic. Keeping with Grant's ethos here of getting more creative tools in the hands of creative people, what he wanted to do was lower the barrier to entry and decrease the distance between the creative and the audience. That's their relationship, not ours. Our relationship is helping them keep that relationship between the two very, very narrow. So if there's too expensive and you can't get the gear, if it's too hard to find, you can't buy it, if it's too difficult to learn and you can't use it, those are all barriers and create distances between the creative and the person that they want to share their creativity with. And so all along the way, he says, we may be one part of the solution, we may be the whole solution, but we should always be the least impactful solution in terms of what the vision was to the creator and the storyteller. So that's always been something that's driven me. To that point now, I've talked about all of our gear. There's a whole nother part of the company that a lot of people don't recognize or aren't aware of, and that's where Matt comes in. So I will now hand off to Matt, and you can talk a little bit about how that relationship started today with this project.
Actually, we can just leave the slide up. It's good.
Awesome,
Yep.
yeah.
So I wanted, just by show of hands, has everybody heard of DaVinci Resolve? Most people? Okay, fantastic. So DaVinci Resolve is our application suite that Dave mentioned. It's been around for a very long time, won quite a few awards for its color capability, but it's become a real suite over the last 5 or 6 years, and it does basically everything. What's really been compelling is putting that platform in the hands of people like Lenovo, and they wanted to come and launch something called the Threadripper 620 model, and we worked with AMD and Lenovo to basically create a partnership. And we have put that partnership together. In fact, in real time here, we've got a bunch of Lenovo's in the back, and it really goes to where AMD is going with in terms of their CPU capability. That's the main chip that runs the computer. It's called a Threadripper. And what we've been able to do is really take that advantage and use it across a whole bunch of different applications. So one of the things that obviously we've talked about is Resolve as our software, but what is unique and different about our kind of company is that we work with all different kinds of companies that are doing development. They might have their own software title. They might create an engine like Unreal or Unity. So we're using our reach as a company to help support all of these other companies. And that's what we've done with AMD, it's what we've done with Microsoft, and it's what we've done with Lenovo. So Lenovo sent over 5 fantastic AMD-based workstations. They're on the lower end, they're 24 core, but super high performance in terms of 3.8 gigahertz. And those are running engines. And then we have some that are running Resolve. And those are basically higher core count, but they're slower in terms of the core because Resolve loves as many parallel cores as you can give them in terms of the CPU. Of course, we work with both the GPUs and the CPUs from AMD. We also work with another company that does quite a bit of GPU work. And in doing that, the idea is that we scale up. So we provide Resolve licenses, we work with them on roadmaps, we fine-tuned a new silicon, and then oftentimes we're able to take advantage of launch windows. So when they're launching a new computer, one of our specialists will work together and create a content test, stress it out, put those results on, and then we join those other manufacturers, those other partners, and actually talk about how the technology scales up. One of the things that we do also for developers, which I made a reference, and Dave was actually an integrator developer, we actually help seed people. So, hey, you need a board. Hey, you need to borrow some equipment. Hey, I really want to own this, but I'm having, I'm just a startup. So we actually work together and encourage developers and software developers and companies that are starting out. Hey, I'd like to borrow something. Hey, I'd like to buy something. Can you help provide that? And so we do that to the development community. And it's been pretty successful. At the same time, there are large companies like Microsoft that we work with across a whole range of non-disclosure confidential basis to make sure that our software and our hardware work great at an operating system level. So it's been a good run. As Dave mentioned, 22 years. I haven't been there the whole time. But most importantly, I want to tell you thank you. Oftentimes we get up here and we talk about things, make it sound a little complex. But the whole idea is that we want to be here to talk about what your problems are, see if we've got a solution. And if you are a customer, will be a customer, thank you. Thanks in advance, too.
Why don't you discuss, though, also where we get integrated into solutions? There's a couple solutions that you probably used and didn't think about where the Blackmagic components were on the inside of that.
That's awesome. In fact, one of those companies just presented. So Evercast, if you guys get a chance, please go see Evercast at the front hall entrance. They contacted us actually during the pandemic. And they support our desktop video, which we call the Deck Links and Ultra Studios, so that you can work with Evercast and see things come out of an SDI connection or or a HDMI connection. And now they've done something very sophisticated, and that is that their platform is actually controlling a switcher called an ATEM. So the great idea is that these folks have actually put work around and put work into controlling the switcher through their application. So it's those kind of integrations that you see. We've got Ray Moscow sitting over here with HTC Vibe, and we've done some real great tests and ideas with this kind of company to be able to work with our what we call application programming interfaces so that we can be compatible when they're sending us signals and we can work through our APIs, say, for example, like in our camera. I also want to call out Stipe. Stipe has been a development partner out of Europe for us for almost 8 years, and they've created technology that works with our DeckLink stack to be able to drive the plugin so they can see the camera data and the metadata coming out of the camera positioning out through the engine, and then the engine can play out to the video. So here are companies that are here at the Production Summit that have been long-term developers for us, that have created really unique solutions that make it simpler for you as a creative or a production executive or a technology leader to be able to deploy this stuff. And the great part about accessibility is it's everywhere all the time. So basically our products are available worldwide. It's the same product that you would buy in Europe, you buy in Asia, that you buy in America. And because we're the manufacturer, we actually manufacture it ourselves, we have complete control over the design, execution, and delivery. So thanks, Dave.
Great. All right, so that's pretty much all we wanted to kind of make you aware of. Are there any questions? Pretty much like, no, cocktail hour is starting, Dave. All right, so thank you all very much for your time. I'm glad to see so many people here this year. And if you have any questions,
we have a question in the back.
Yes. He's a plant.
So you talked about your stuff being integrated with other people's
Yes,
product. Can you talk a little bit about, you have APIs for a lot of your products, and one of the things that makes it interesting is being able to integrate with that. Is that all open? Is that something, how does someone get access to that if I want to use your switcher in a product, how do I get that information?
Sure. So one of the things that we did pre-pandemic is we created a developer landing page on our website. So if you go to blackmagicdesign.com, about the third or fourth navigation tab over to the right is a developer subsite, and you can go down there and look at the 8 product families that have software toolkits and application programming. Those are called APIs. And you can download those just basically by registering. So you get full access. No one's going to control access, which goes back to Dave's point earlier in the day, where we make things accessible to people. So you just register for the API, download it, or sometimes it's just in the manual. So for example, we have a ability to control routers. It's a protocol, or our recording devices are called HyperDeck. All of those have protocols. Those protocols are published in our manual, and there's no restriction to take advantage of those APIs. So you can either go to the manual and download the manuals and read the protocol information and implement it right away, or you can register and download the SDK. And makes it pretty accessible for anybody to become a developer for us. And our goal is to make sure that we are here, and I would really encourage people to grab Dave or I, or one of the camera guys if you want to look at the camera. It is why we're here. It's kind of why Jess and Eric said earlier this morning that we want questions, we want to engage, we want to pose the tough questions. And I will close on this. There is actually an API for Resolve. It is a Python and Lua scripting. All of the documentation for the ability to program and engage with our DaVinci Resolve software is available in the documentation and in the software. So download the free version, and again, you register for that, put your details, email, address, location, and you download the DaVinci Resolve, the free version, and it has all the documentation. To actually execute some of the higher end functions, you have to have the full version Resolve Studio. It is a full purchase price. It is $295, so it's pretty accommodating, but we don't have a subscription model or a ongoing revenue charge for that because we don't charge for support either. So if you're curious about DaVinci Resolve, please grab one of us, or if you want to see cameras or hardware, we'd love to talk about it. Thank you, everybody.